Hello there. Today's poem we're considering is Wild Oats by Philip Larkin. Before we start, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so because it really helps us. I have the poem here, so let's start. Wild Oats by Philip Larkin. About 20 years ago, two girls came in where I worked. A bosomy English rose and her friend in specs I could talk to. Faces in those days sparked the whole shooting match off, and I doubt if ever one had like hers, but it was the friend I took out. And in 7 years after that, wrote over 400 letters, gave a 10-guinea ring. I got back in the end and met at numerous cathedral cities unknown to the clergy. I believe I met Beautiful twice. She was trying both times, so I thought, not to laugh. Parting after about 5 rehearsals was an agreement that I was too selfish, withdrawn and easily bored to love. Well, useful to get that learnt. In my wallet are still 2 snaps of bosomy rose with fur gloves on. Unlucky charms, perhaps. As is typical for many poems Larkin wrote, Wild Oats is open to many interpretations. So let's start to unpack it stanza by stanza. The title Wild Oats is often a euphemism for sex. To sow your wild oats means indulging in the hedonistic pleasure of youth before settling down. In this poem, the poet and the speaker are the same. It is based very much on Larkin's life and relationships. The 2 girls he mentioned are real people, Ruth Bowman and Jane Exhall. Written in the first-person voice, the poem engages the reader immediately within the story the speaker tells. The speaker tells a story that happened 20 years earlier. He met 2 girls. One he describes as a bosomy English rose, bosomy a euphemism for having large breasts. The other girl wore specs, and the speaker found he could talk to her. He economically describes them using archetypes the reader will instantly recognise. English rose, bosomy, meaning attractive, wearing specs, plain perhaps, but intelligent. He focuses his attention on the latter because she is easier to speak to, suggesting that he has more chance pulling her because she is plain. Or perhaps that he lacked the confidence to ask the English rose out. As this is not a good reason to embark on any relationship, we fear that this is not going to end well. And calling the relationship a shooting match stresses this further. In stanza 2, we are transported ahead in time and told he and the woman with specs began a relationship that lasted for 7 years. But she ends the relationship because he is too shallow, easily bored, and selfish to truly love someone. We are given a sense that the relationship stagnated and never developed. We are told he wrote her over 400 letters. Note the absence of love when describing these letters, which make them seem ordinary. Even the ring he buys her is cheap, even by the standards of the 1950s and 60s. When the relationship ends, she returns the ring. It appears that they planned to marry and attended 5 rehearsals, although rehearsals is ambiguous because it could also mean rehearsing to break up. His disdain for his fiancée is stressed by not mentioning her name, although this could be for private reasons and to protect her name. Also, the easily bored description is demonstrated in stanza 2, when the speaker drifts off speaking about her and focuses on Beautiful, the English rose who he met twice during this time. These encounters seem to matter more to him. This is stressed by placing this information about his English rose at the end of stanza 2. By met, are we to assume this was to have sex? If met is a euphemism for sex, it seems to have been an unsatisfying experience for both. As the speaker confides, he thought she was trying both times not to laugh. If he met Beautiful while seeing Specs, his fiancée, our respect for the speaker is further diminished. In stanza 3, the speaker refers to the end of the engagement. We see the breakup from the speaker Larkin's perspective, but not from Bowman's, Specs. But he candidly lists his failings and does not blame her. Too selfish, withdrawn, another euphemism for not demonstrating love, and easily bored to love. We cannot argue with this assessment of him. Sarcastically, ironically, he states, well, useful to get that learnt, which suggests he's not really bothered by the hurt he has caused his fiancée. Yet there's more to come, because the poem ends with a twist. We are told that throughout their relationship, the speaker in his wallet kept 2 photographs of the other woman he met, the English rose. He wonders whether keeping these photographs had brought him bad luck. This again may suggest the speaker is deflecting blame from himself for the poor way he treated his fiancée. He also employs the tropes of a woman being an enchantress or femme fatale, his nemesis in bringing his engagement to an end. Charms emphasizes her role as an enchantress and seductress, and charm also suggests potions and spells. Although we might not like the speaker poet for the way he has treated his fiancée, we do have to respect his openness, honesty, and candidness. The tone of the poem is confessional and an admission of his failings. Even blaming the other woman at the end is one more failing to add to the list. The poet shows how often we fail to confront our inadequacies and unpleasant side and conceal these with euphemisms, a word that places an acceptable spin on unpleasant actions. Larkin uses several euphemisms: bosomy, met her twice, and the use of metonymy to describe a person, specs or beautiful. The fact the speaker never uses the women's names and labels them instead suggests he views them as objects rather than people. The poem also highlights the double standards of the time, when young men were encouraged to sow their wild oats, while women who indulged in the same pleasures were severely criticised. It is important to acknowledge Larkin's importance as a writer. Larkin writes about ordinary things to explore the sides of our nature many would best forget, because we do not want to admit our failings and try our best to represent our positive sides. Larkin demonstrates we are light and shade, with the ability to do good as well as wicked things to others and to ourselves. As Alan Bennett says of him, Larkin is famous for his fear of death. He's also famous for his fear of life. Bennett says Larkin didn't want to be thought nice, and sometimes wasn't. The temptation of all art is to console, but Larkin's poems rarely attempt to. When Larkin died in 1985, there was a great and unexpected outpouring of public affection and appreciation of his work. And his work remains highly popular today because of the universal themes it examines that apply to us all. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you found it useful. Please check out our other video on another Larkin poem, Talking in Bed. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and ring the bell so we can keep you updated on the new videos we release weekly. Please also check out the other videos we've made that include poetry analysis and other textual analysis. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. It means a lot to us and it really helps us out. Until next time, from Carol and me, write well.